let's go ahead and start prayer.
1 second.
Okay.
What's taking this so long? Okay, we're live. Prayer.
Okay, prayer. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Surely I'm being turned upright to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not from among the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he. This I am commanded. I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King. There is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grant protection against faults but thee. And guide me to the best of morals, for none can guide to the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away the evil and indecent morals but thee. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thy praise and magnify. And O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as I did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely thy praise and magnify. Amen.
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 Welcome to the Proverbs 31 Woman Podcast, where we celebrate the strength, resilience, and wisdom of women and the men who support and inspire them. I'm your host, student minister Dr. Eminence Muhammad, and today our co-host is Sister Victoria, which is a former two-time MGT captain in the Nation of Islam, and we are thrilled to have you with us today on this incredibly special episode. Today, we are honored to be joined by a remarkable guest, Brother Winford Ray II. Brother Winford is a shining example of transformation and redemption. After serving time in prison, he has not only turned his life around, but he has also become a successful entrepreneur, an educator, an author, a devoted father. His journey is powerful, and it is a true testimony of resilience of the human spirit and the profound impact of a changed mindset. This episode is titled The Power of a Changed Mind. And we'll be diving deep into Brother Winford's story, exploring the challenges he faced, the lessons he learned, and how he uses his experiences to inspire and guide the youth today. With his godly energy and his beautiful spirit, before we begin, I want to remind you that this episode is being live streamed, and we encourage you to engage with us during the show, and you can submit your questions for our brother to answer at any moment you want to, and we will have a Q&A session for him to answer your questions. So without further ado, let's welcome Brother Winford Ray to the Proverbs 31 podcast show. Brother Winford, we thank you for joining us. Could you please introduce yourself and tell the guests anything that you want them to know about you?
All praise is due to Allah. First, allow me to open up in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger and exalted Christ. And I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the extension of the Son of Man. I would like to greet every brother and sister, of course, the beautiful MGT sisters, those that are watching. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. My name is Brother Winford X. I'm happily to be a part of the Nation of Islam. The greatest thing that ever happened besides coming into existence is being able to accept my own and be myself. It's not something that's easy to do. So I just try to strive to be not a mirror for other people to look at my life, but I strive to give enough for people to be able to look at themselves, because being in self-improvement, that's not an easy thing to do, especially being shaped in iniquity. All of us have been shaped in iniquity. None of us have escaped that, and none of us are exempt from that. So I just strive to do my part. It's been a long journey. The journey is not over. When I first seen when y'all presented the title to me, The Power of a Changed Mind, immediately Allah came into my spirit and said that the power of a changed mind is good, but for me personally, it's the power of a changing mind, because two things that I learned that is permanent in is physical death and change. Change is always going to happen. That's a permanent thing. So you're always changing. The first law of the universe is motion. So we're changing. So and also I look at myself as changing because it's highs and lows in life. So you never know if you may have a reprobated mind. We strive not to, but none of us are exempt from that. So that's me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that was very profound and very informative in your introduction of yourself, because that is true. That is a slogan, the power of it. There's nothing more powerful than a changed mind, but you're absolutely right. We're always evolving, so that change is always a factor, and we should be changing as we're growing closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those are the stages of development that brings us to our excellence and our ultimate perfection, and that's what we're striving for. So you're absolutely right. That's a true fact. So everybody watching, the brother's saying that it's a changing mind. Don't just change your mind today and be the same person 20 years from now. Every day you got to be willing to have a changing mind, always evolving, always increasing in wisdom, knowledge, and success. I agree. What do you think about that, Sister Victoria?
Oh, I certainly agree, my dear sister and brother, what you said, because it's a process, just as we talked about marriage, last week with brother student Minister Stanley and Sister Ruth. It's a process, we haven't arrived there yet. So, that change is happening, is going on. So I love the way you eloquently shared that, my dear brother, because that is the true reality.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
So, for the beginning of this interview, I was wondering if you wanted to tell us a little bit about your journey. Like, if you could share a bit about your background and what led to the incarceration. What was the turning point for you while you were in prison that made you decide to change your life? And how did you stay motivated and focused on your goals while in prison? Or did did the transformation of your mind begin after? So basically, I just want you to share a bit of your journey and the process that led you to knowing that I have to do something different this time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. For those that are listening, man, share the live. We live. Go on, share the live and put your seatbelt on, because it's almost like a movie. And just to say that I was first incarcerated at the age of 19. I got sentenced to 17 and a half years. I did 15 years flat on a 17 and a half year sentence. And coming from the environment that I come from Dallas, Texas, I mean, every hood has similar functions because we were all taught by the same slave master. So that's not a secret. But to understand, just to give you a little bit, I was surrounded by, affiliated with gangs. I had my mother and father, but they divorced when I was 6 years old. So as a child, I had siblings. I had a sister and I had a brother, older sister and older brother. So being the youngest in the household, when my mother and my father divorced, I was 6 years old. And naturally, a child is going to want to go with their mother. That mother love that you just have as a child. That's a special love that Allah created. So when my parents divorced, my father being a man, understanding life itself, understanding the circumstances and situations of being a man, he took me with him. And at that age, at that age at 6 years old, I didn't understand, but my father knew. Like, You know, so when they went to the courts, and you know how things is with our people, man, things get nasty and we go to court and all that. We got to get other people involved, and that took place. And, you know, my father told the judge, he said that, you know, this woman, she can love, you know, our son, but it's my job to teach him how to be a man. And just off of that, the judge allowed me to go with my father. So at 6 years old, I went with my father, and that's when really the journey started. And just being dropped into a certain neighborhoods infested with drugs, gangs, you know, that everyday life, it's hard not to become a part of that. I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan once say that you have to be careful of what environment you're set in because it produces heredity. And I didn't understand that at that age. But as I grew and as I became incarcerated, of course, I was able to look back and see a lot of the things and go all the way back to the reality of cause to the effect that I was currently in. So, yeah, just that shaping of iniquity, being in those areas, in that environment. And my father he always gave me good principles. He always taught me good morals. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. My father always taught that. He was always a hardworking man. But it was his principles versus an environment. So it's like, you can't watch me all the time. So you got to go to work at some time. So when I come home from school, I'm saturated in an environment. I mean, he kept me in sports all the way up through my youth, through my teenage years. I played basketball, I played football, I ran track. Every year I was in summer programs. My father always kept me active. But as I grew older, when I got around like 14, 15 years old, I started producing that heredity that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is talking about. I started becoming a part of that environment. I started seeing and I started becoming curious of the things that my eyes were seeing. And I just remember my dad telling me, don't go to this place, don't go over there, I don't want to catch you over there. So what do at 14 and 15? When they tell us not to go to those places, what we do the opposite. Yeah. I gotta go over there, I gotta see what's going on. Mm-hmm. And as I started to get exposed to a certain lifestyle, it just became a second nature. You know, so now I found myself at odds, arguing with my father, me and him bumping heads now, because he's trying to tell me, don't do this, don't do that. I don't want no company. You can't have people over, this and that. But at the same time, I still have a child mind. I'm 14, I'm 15. So if I'm playing a video game, hell, I want somebody to play with. I want one of my partners to come in so we can get on the game and we can play. Playing always by yourself, it's no fun in that. So the wisdom that he was giving me, I didn't see it at 14 and 15 years old. So, you know, certain things I did, I found myself in trouble. I found myself getting affiliated with gangs. And from that point on, I started getting tattoos. As you can see, I'm covered in ink. I'm covered in tattoos. So it was one of those things where me and my father, we started bumping heads. So it was him versus the environment. So yeah, that was, you know, it was rough. You know, it was rough. And when I ended up getting incarcerated, I got incarcerated for bank robbery. I went on a spree, and I was going, you know, y'all seen the movie Set It Off. Yeah. We all have seen that, right? With Queen Latifah. I literally lived that. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to brag on that. Actually, I thank Allah for sparing my life, because it was times where things did get real close to where we were staring death, you know, looking at death right in the face, and it didn't happen. You know, it didn't happen. So I'm just thankful. And when I did get incarcerated, because when I was getting that money, when I was in the street, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. We can talk. We talking. We got an audience. We talking.
Right.
When you getting money, when you when you doing certain things, you're not too much thinking about the consequence, especially where we come from, because as far as we can see, from every angle that we seeing dope dealers, we seeing nice cars, we seeing who got the girls, you know. And if you're a handsome brother, you know, when you hit that 16, 17 year mark, you starting to become popular. The girls are talking about you, you know, everybody is, you know, filling each other out. And you know, I was one of those brothers. I'm just gonna be honest. You know, it was one of those things where, and you got the jealousy coming, you got the envy coming from dudes. You got you all of this is a melting pot. All of this is you seeing people that are on drugs. You seeing people laying on the street. You seeing, you know, dudes hating on people. You seeing brothers are enemies of one another. We getting into it with other hoods. And then you got to get into it with people from your own hood because they envious or jealous of something that you have, or they might see something in you that they lack that they don't have. So it's like your head is on a swivel. So all of this is happening. I didn't have, you know, I love my father, but he didn't teach me nothing about God. He didn't teach me nothing about, you know, I went to a church, but the church that I went to, I played, it was like a boys club, and the church that we would go to church on Sundays, and it was like a lot of white people. So when we would go to like summer camps, it was white people at these places. Not, you know, I don't want to say it too crazy, but I wasn't able to understand who God was. I wasn't able to, that was not a reality to us where we come from. So when we would go to these summer camps, it was something more like we just getting away. It's like a vacation, you know. We finna go, man. What kind of food y'all got? You know, what we eating up in this bad boy? You know, we going swimming. You know, we going, you know, hunting and all this old type of stuff. So those was kind of like the escapes that we did, but no one had ever taught me about God. I believed in God, but that's the far as it went. You know, there was no repercussion or no thinking about any consequences for doing certain acts because I didn't have anybody to just, you know, show me or to just explain or to guide me in that way to understand how serious it was of striving to know God until I got incarcerated. And when I got incarcerated at 19 years old, honestly, I thought my life was over. I'm just going to be honest with you. I thought my life was over. But as time proceeded, I had to go all the way back to understand that when I got incarcerated at 19, my life was just beginning.
Wow. Well, that is truly remarkable, my dear brother. You know, what you've shared is like that story is just so familiar, you know, with me being in the hood, growing up in the projects and seeing those type of realities. And, you know, and the thing that you just said that really hit me the most was you didn't even know God, you know, until you were incarcerated.
Right.
And so all of this time, you know, you not knowing God, which also means you didn't know yourself.
Of course.
You know, so then it was easy to fall into the pitfalls of what Shaitan had already set up, you know, for you because you didn't know. So that's so beautiful what you're sharing. And we thank you so much for being so transparent with us on Proverbs 31 show today. And I pray that the listening audience out there, that y'all are really tuning in because this is really life-saving teachings right now. The brother is really going into his reality of what he actually lived, and that many of our brothers and sisters are living right now on the streets. So we appreciate you for sharing, my dear brother. Back to you, Sister Dr. Eminence.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I mean, your story already, I know there are people watching that are connecting with what you're saying and the authenticity of it. You're saying that you had a good father. It wasn't that you didn't have a male role model in your life. So sometimes we live in a world where people are saying all that boy needs is a father, but you're showing us that no, you actually wanted your mother too. You needed the balance of the mom and the dad being in the home, because while dad was off doing daddy business, mom would have been there doing mommy business, and you would have had somebody saying, "Where do you think you're going, boy? Get back in this house. You need to come straight home after school," because that's what moms don't play, because dads, they're great and they need to be in the home. But I'm glad you shared that, because many times when they see black males in prison, they assume that there was no father present. So I'm glad you clarified that your daddy not only loved you, but he said you need to be wherever I'm at, because I'm your father and you're a male and you need an example. So I love that you allowed us to see the good in your father, and you didn't blame him for whatever you got yourself into. You're taking 100% responsibility. And that my next question is dealing with transformation and a mindset, because that's a mindset where you start to recognize that I can't blame this person. I can't even blame my mom, because she ultimately did what was right by giving me to my father, because at the end of the day, I did need him, because in some cultures, when the male gets 12, he's given to the father time to bring that young male into manhood. Yours just happened a little sooner. So what role did faith play in your journey of transformation? And can you talk about some of the biggest challenges you faced after your release? I'm going to say how you're overcoming them, because you put it in my mind that change is an everyday thing. So I want to know how faith made you make the transformation, because you're coming from an environment that there weren't, I'm going to just step out on a limb and say that there wasn't too many good examples. Your father might have been a good one, but you're saying like the neighborhood, the peer pressure, it wasn't much you could go outside of becoming what you see. You became a product of your environment. So how did faith change that and help you transform that and put you on a whole new path?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the question. As you were speaking, what came to mind in my spirit was, let me say that growing up the way that I did and becoming involved in my environment, becoming involved with the people that I ran with, understand this. I don't look at them as bad people, because they didn't understand either. They just a product of the environment as well. So it wasn't that they were bad people. All right. We were all, homies. We was homeboys, we was homegirls, and we were a reflection. Now that I'm able to think about the scriptures, when it says born into sin and shaped in iniquity, iniquity is a powerful, powerful force. So whatever is a reaction, or whatever is coming out of us, that is a part of iniquity. Black on black killing, that's iniquity. Seeing people hooked on drugs, that's iniquity. What selling drugs, that's an iniquity. And we all was a victim of that. Now, am I putting the blame game? No, I'm not. I don't want the sympathy. I don't want the blame game. I'm just telling you what's real. I'm just giving you a reality of what we all experienced and what we went through. And that's beautiful how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that we were all taught by the same slave master. And that's true. No matter if you're in New York, you in Atlanta, you in Dallas, you in LA, you in Ohio, wherever you are, we have these same similar upbringings, right? We all know what a dope fiend is. We all have a family member who just can't get off the drugs. We have people that in our families that we know that go in and out of prison, can't stay out of prison, can't get right. Right. We have these similarities in all of our families and these functions occur. So I don't want to never just look at my my brothers that I grew up with as bad people, because even the ones that I warred against, even the ones that I got into it with, now that Allah has blessed me with what I have the understanding to know, they didn't know, it was just a product of it as well. But just to go into your question, when I got incarcerated at 19, I had a female that was pregnant, that was 5 months pregnant when I found out. And I got incarcerated when she was 7 months pregnant. And prior, before that, I hope it's somebody on my live that I grew up with, I got into a shootout. And I was going to go pick up my son's mother. She was pregnant. I was going to pick her up, and because I was 19, she was 16. And she was still in school. I had just graduated school. She was still in school, so I was going to pick her up, and she was pregnant. And so I had one of my guys that was with me. I won't mention none of his name or nothing like that. I don't, and where I was going to pick her up at, I seen some guys that I had got into it with like previous years before. And I was strapped. My homie, he wasn't strapped. But by this time, I'm getting my money up. I'm trying to get on this money. I'm getting my money up at this time now. So I'm in a place. I'm waiting on the mother of my child. I'm waiting on her to come to the car. I see some guys that I had beef with 3 and 4 years ago. I hadn't seen these guys. All of a sudden, this day, they want to make trouble. They want to make beef. And I was there. It was another car that was with us that was in front of me, but it was a lot of people that was out, and things, was going on or whatever, and people hanging out or whatever. So the guy approached me, and my guy got out the car and started talking. He talking crazy, whatever, woo, this and that. So I'm telling my guy to get in the car. So I opened my car door up, and I'm waiting on my son's mother to come. Like I said, she's pregnant. She's coming out the store. I'm telling her to come on. The guy's approaching me. The guy pulled out, I don't know, I think it was a 45 or something like that. He put out a 4.5 on me. And all of a sudden, I'm trying to talk my way out of it. I'm trying to get up out of it because I'm like, damn, I knew I shouldn't have came up here. But I'm trying to pick her up. Well, just to make a long story short, I wasn't able to pick her up. I had to get in the car. When my guy got in the car, just like in a split of a second, I had to leave her because he started shooting. He shot through my window. The tint on my window, it didn't shatter the glass. The bullet actually came through the window and hit the floor. And as I drove off, I had to leave her. I left. We're talking about a pregnant woman. She's pregnant with my child. I had to drive off and leave her because if I wouldn't, I was dead. And as I drove off and left, this is broad daylight. Like we're shooting in broad daylight. It's people running. Allegedly, someone got shot. They didn't get killed. Someone got shot. I was able to get away. My car was shot up. I got back to my hood. My baby mother made it to the hood. And all I could think about was, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill the dudes that he was with. And so my crew this is all we're thinking. Oh, we're going to get him. 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 And she's 7 months pregnant. And this never occurred to me, the life that I was living on the edge. It never occurred that, say, man, you on the verge of getting killed. That never, it's like, man, this was like This was an everyday type of thing that we all experienced and we went through. Was I scared? Yeah, I was scared. Yeah, I was scared. I ain't gonna lie, I was scared. You know, after that situation happened, she made it home and she was crying and she was telling me, she was like, hey, the word is you're not gonna even make it to see your baby. They coming to get you. That was the word given to her. And so now I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous because I'm like, damn, ain't nobody ever told me, oh man, when we see him, we see that nigga, we coming to get him. I had never heard that. So my guys that I'm with, we strapped up, we telling my other guys, hey man, you know, everybody stay close to the hood. And that's the life that was going on. But 2 months after that, I never seen the guy. I went and looked for the guy. I went to his neighborhood looking for him. That's how scared I was because I wanted to find him first. So I went looking for him. Me and my guys went looking for him. Grace of all praises due to Allah, we did not find him. 2 months later, I end up getting incarcerated on my federal case. That's when I got sentenced to 17 and a half years. My son was born when I was in prison. My son was born when I was in prison. Now let me get into your question, sister. What changed me? The faith was switched. The mindset was switched was when I was already in prison. I'm 19 years old. I'm coming into an environment that man fear what he don't understand, and man fear the unknown. So I'm coming into an environment that I don't know nothing about. All I ever heard was, music, about being incarcerated, or you see something on TV, you see a movie or something like that. But to actually be a part of something like that, I had never experienced that. So yes, I was afraid. I wasn't by myself. My co-defendant was with me. We was together. And we both went in at 19 years old. And so knowing that that I had a child while I was in prison, the first 2 weeks, I cried on my bed every day, every night. When they would lock the doors at night, I would cry. Me and my co-defendant, we was together. We were cellies. And we both 19 years old. He crying, I'm crying. I'm like, damn, we messed up. We really messed up this time. And so she had my child, and I had a little boy, and he had to grow up without a father. He had to grow up without, a father, the lack of a father, man. And the importance of that, it still touches me, and it still bothers me today. Because through the years of doing my time, I would have to my son would come visit me. My dad would get him, or my mother would get him and bring him down. And I remember looking at him, and I remember him being 2 years old, and I remember him, me looking at him, and I was just like, damn, I don't want my son to have to go through what I went through. So I was affiliated in a gang when I was in prison. I was affiliated with a blood gang, and I remember getting into it with a police officer, and they put me in the hole, and I did 14 months in the hole. I was in a hole, a little thing by myself for 14 months. The first 3 months, I thought I was going to go crazy. I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to be insane. I didn't know what I was going to do. But this is the process of faith coming in. Faith just don't come in just off of nothing. Something has to happen for you to recognize, or for you to turn towards something when you have no control. Daddy can't help you. Mama can't help you. Nobody can help you. So that natural, supernatural, that you don't have no knowledge of is in you, is something that's allowing you to survive. I didn't know what it was. So as I go through the process of being incarcerated, of course, when I went in, I started seeing brothers that was Muslim. I didn't first start out in the reality of God. When I first became Muslim, I took my Shahada and I was in the Orthodox Islam. I was in the Sunni community. Actually, I was the Muezzin. I called the Adhan for 7 years. And that was a beautiful thing. Learning to read the Quran, learning my prayers in Arabic, learning to fellowship with brotherhood was beautiful. But I still did not have the knowledge of self. I still did not understand the reality of my existence. I really didn't understand the reality of God still, but God says, I know what you know not. So God said that he bring us through stages to understand. So
that's right.
On this journey that I was on, 7 years, calling the Adhan, the Muezzin, I'm seeing people that was in the Nation of Islam, and some of the brothers that was in the Sunni community was telling me, oh, they're not real Muslims. And I'm like, damn, them ain't real Muslims? They like, they're not real Muslims. So I'm saying to myself, so I'm reading the Quran and I'm like, well, that's not what the Quran telling me. You know, right. Those brothers was salam me, assalamu alaikum, brother. I would see them, wa alaikum salam. And some brother would say, oh, them kafirs, them kafiroons. And I'm like, come on, brother, you gonna call the man a kafir? How do you know? Well, brother, them brothers said that Allah is a man. And that was one of the things that always was a problem and was a divide between the Muslims in prison, the Sunni community, and the nation. It was always a divide. Oh, they say that Allah is a man. And then when Ramadan would come, I would always try to make a congregational salat and say, hey, man, y'all brothers come pray with us. And the email would say, nah, brother, well, we got to make a vote on it. I'm like, so you telling me we have to vote to see if brothers can make salat? I'm like, man, well, this is foolishness. You know, what are we doing? So I had one brother that was in the nation and I worked in the kitchen, and me and him, we would always talk. And what sparked the atom for the very first time for me was he asked me, how do different races or how do different people come on the earth? And so my answer to him was, shoot, man, Allah just scooped up the sand, shoot, and just made some people. And the brother said, well, Allah can do that. He said, but no, brother, that's not the process on how it happened. And he said, if I give you something to read, will you read it? And I said, of course. And it was study guide number 19, the knowledge of God.
Beautiful.
It's my favorite study guide to this day. 1-9. I got incarcerated. I got locked up when I was 19 years old. When you look at the supreme mathematics, the numbers, 1, knowledge, 9, completion, born. And it all started making sense.
Yeah.
And when I started to read the study guide number 19, it was talking about the difference between mind and brain. And when it went that deep, and it started talking about the brown germ and the black germ, I said, this is what I've been missing.
Yes, come on.
Because it started speaking the language of science and mathematics. And I said, you can't fake this. There's no way that you can get around this. And so I became more curious. And as I read that and I took it back the next morning, I said, man, I want to know more. And he said, well, come on over to Jumar, brother, and come and join us. And he said, we're going to be listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And the first DVD that I ever heard and ever looked and seen of the minister was The Origin of Blackness. And when I watched that, man, I just started crying. And the brother gave me a tissue. The brother was sitting next to me. He gave me a tissue and said, welcome home. I never went back to the student community. I went back to the imam and I told the brother, I said, well, brother, no disrespect. I said, but this is my home. I said, this is what I was missing. This was the void in my life. And from that point on, I started dialoguing with the gods. I started going to Jumo. I started just getting certain lessons, and I started getting the study guides, and I started reading certain things. And then every day I would go to the chaplain by myself and just look at different videos and different DVDs of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And every time that man opened up his mouth, I just was like, man, like, where I've been, like, man, you know. And so when my father would come down and visit me, I would ask him, man, why you ain't never told me nothing about Farrakhan, man? You ain't never told. He talking about, man, I know about Farrakhan. I said, man, you don't know nothing about Farrakhan because you ain't tell me about it. I said, man, you ain't never told me about the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. And so I found myself every time after that, because when that happened, I got locked up in 2000. I got out in 2015. When I came into the awakening to the reality of God under the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, was in 2008. I got out in 15, so I had 7 years left on my journey. So when my father would come visit me, I started teaching him what I was learning of the Nation of Islam. And, you know, he teared up and he told me, he said, man, I'm so happy that's where you at. I'm so happy that you're there, man. I'm so happy that you're there. And knowing that my mother, she rejected it. My mother was a Christian. She said, you with Farrakhan. She said, oh, Lord Jesus, bow your head, boy. She said, oh, Lord. Oh, she said, my God. She said, what made you do that? I said, Mama, studying to show thyself approved. I said a lot of things, you know, but one thing I never did, I never disrespected my mother. I never disrespected her. And that's hard when you come into something and somebody that you really love telling you not to do it, and you have to tell them, I got to do it. I got to do this for me. You know, I got to do this for me. She don't understand, but I had to stand on my own and say, no, man, no, this is what you have, your spirit, and I have mine, and this is where Allah is leading me. This is the journey that Allah is leading me. So one thing I do know is this, beloved sisters, is that no matter what a person does, a person will respect it if you're consistent, because they'll watch you. They'll see, is he still doing this? Because I would call home, hey, baby, you still with Farrakhan? I'm still with Farrakhan. Yes, ma'am. I'm still with him. She would come visit. We would talk. I would say certain things to her. And when I came home, I was blessed to sit down with my mother. We would watch Farrakhan together. When the pandemic hit, she called me. She said, "Well, baby, what is Farrakhan saying?"
Yeah.
You know, what is he saying about the pandemic? You know, so I'm telling her and giving her certain things, but what I'm saying is, in time, people will understand. So I'm thankful to Allah that and it wasn't easy, and it's not easy. I'm not gonna say it wasn't. It's not easy because, again, we're still dealing with the shaping of iniquity. Because I have on this bow tie, man, because I'm class A right now, or the sisters are covered up. Man, listen, we 466 years deep into darkness and being genetically engineered and turned inside out.
That's
so
right.
It's not that because we had this on, oh, you safe now. No, man. No, it's an everyday struggle. And like I said, I don't put all my privacy out on public because nobody's supposed to. But I will say this. Right. I strive to let a person know, look, man, I heard Dr. Wesley Muhammad say this a few days ago. He said that the Nation of Islam is not for everybody. That's not what the nation was designed for. The nation was designed for Black men and women to civilize themselves and structure themselves a way that God said, okay, I'm going to use this vessel of the nation to prepare a new kingdom to come. So everybody is not going to be a part of that. And every time I heard him say that, I just say, damn, I'm talking about with my flaws and my shortcomings and all. I say, man, I always tell myself every day, man, no matter what happens, no matter how short you fall, don't leave the classroom. Do not leave the classroom. Always stay in the classroom of the gods. So I always try to keep myself humble with that. I know I'm going because the spirit got me. The spirit got me going right now. But that's what it was. That's what it was. It was that faith in listening to the minister and being able to see brothers. Because I got talked about. I got, oh man, where you finna go where you going over there to bump your head again? You finna go bump your head, huh? You finna go talk to Allah. Yeah, I had partners there, oh man, and I would tell partners, man, come over here, man. Come over here and listen to the minister. Listen to him, listen to what he's saying. Man, he's talking to us. And I remember telling brothers when I was incarcerated, listen, right now we have the opportunity to study 5 and 6 hours at a time. I'm talking about straight being in prison. You got 4-5 hours because you get 3 meals. You got somewhere to lay down. All that's taken care of. You ain't got to worry about that. You ain't got to worry about no J's. You ain't got to worry about, man, I got to get this for this child. I got to do this for that child. No, you in prison. So you have the time. And I remember telling brothers, study as much as you can now, because once we get out, we're not going to have this type of time to be able to study like this. A lot of it is just going to have to come from second nature. It's going to have to be in you. It's going to have to be saturated in you. And I bear witness to that because, of course, I don't study like I did when I was in prison, but it's certain things that when I start dialoguing with different brothers, or if we talking about the teachings, certain things just come out, but I don't even think about it. I don't even have to think about it. It's just coming out. And I say, well, damn, that comes from all the times that, studying while I was incarcerated, when I was in prison. So the sister, Dr. Eminence said, coming home. And I want to definitely bring some clarity to this on bringing the teaching home. A lot of brothers didn't think I was going to bring it home. A lot of them talk behind my back. I would hear it. That nigga ain't gonna do that when he get home. Shit, them niggas always come to prison and do that, but shit, them niggas don't do that when they get home. Them niggas go right back to doing what they was doing. Yeah. And coming home, I want to say this: if there are any brothers or sisters that are listening that has been incarcerated and just came home, yes, you have to reintroduce yourself all over again with those teachings. Because when you come home, the natural thing of, especially if you did time, I did 15 years. I came home. All I kept hearing was by Patron. Let me try it. Ciroc, different flavors of Ciroc. Yeah, let me get some of that right there. Let me try that flavor. What's that flavor right there? Yeah, go and pull me up some of that. Different strands of weed start coming out. Yeah, let me get some of that right there. What kind is that right there? Yeah, let me get some of that. I started smoking. I was blowing. Going to different restaurants, sitting down. I was vegetarian for 6 years when I came home, and after when I came home, I didn't start back eating flesh until 4 years I was out. So I was still vegetarian 4 years after I had came home. But what I'm speaking about now is the power of iniquity. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a system that is so powerful that, man, it will pull you back in, and you will still think that things are first seeming. The Quran says it. The Quran definitely talks about it. Oh man, I'm all right. Let me get one shot. Man, just give me two. Oh, shit. Man, I'm sure as long as I don't get drunk, I'm just gonna taste it. So by the time you know it, You coming home, you see this female, you see that female, you know, I'm with this one, I'm with that one, you know, let's go to the movies, let's go out to eat, let's kick back, let's do this. I did all that. I wasn't registered at this time at 2015 when I came home. Then I had to come home to a son that was 15. My son was 15 years old when I came home. So now he's looking. That's pressure. Man, what you about to do? Daddy, I know you about to come out here and get that money. Man, say it's on out here, man. Woo, woo, this and that. I said, man, you need to settle down. Just chill, just chill, just chill, just chill. Man, what we about to do? Man, this and that, this and that. And that was anxiety. Because as a father, you like, man, it's people depending on me, especially my son. You know,
right.
and it produces an anxiety. And it's like, man, am I ready? I'm out here, you know, I'm out in the world, and you know, I want to make the right moves, I want to make the right decisions. And just by being incarcerated for so long, man, you know, again, that force is so powerful that certain things I indulged in, and I did do things, and I found myself in situations that was not good for me, and things that I did, and I was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? And I said I wasn't registered at this time. 2015, 2016, 2017. My son, I'm not knowing that, because I'm having to start over. I'm having to start from ground up. I remember working in warehouses, making $12 an hour. I remember making $13 an hour. And I'm knowing I can go back to the streets and get some real money. But I never did. I've been home 9 years to this date, and I haven't got $1 street money. I've struggled like hell. I've struggled like hell. Man, I've struggled. I've struggled. And if I didn't understand,
alhamdulillah,
if I didn't understand that struggle was ordained, if I never understood that, and where did I hear that from? Struggle is ordained. I heard that from the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. God is taught by the honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan. But if I don't never hear that struggle, oh no, I'm scared. I can't struggle. I need to go get to this money. I'm diving back into the streets. I'm hustling. I'm going right back into it. So now, no, you got to be patient. You got to sit back. Sometimes you got to eat crow. Sometimes you got to sit back and you got to hurt. You got the pain. You got to go through this. You know, it's a process. But again, like I said, I was smoking, I was drinking, I was sexing, I was doing these things. But I always tell people this, and now I'm not telling you that it's okay to do those things, but I have to tell you my truth. When I was smoking and I was drinking, Allah still was speaking to me. Allah was still talking to me. I would get high and watch the minister and be like, man, he going in, you know. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being transparent. I'm being honest.
Yes.
You know, how this journey has been in the progress of coming into this teaching. And now I'm trying to get on my feet. I'm trying to get myself going. My son is living a life I didn't know he was living. He's in the streets. He's in the streets heavy. And I told my son to come live with me. When I got my place, I said, man, you can come live with me. And he kept telling me, I'm going to come live with you. I'm going to come live with you. His mom would call me and tell me, man, you need to get Lil Winford, man. Lil Winford is out of control. And I would call him. You know, his mama was hustling. You know, I won't go into her stuff, but she was a big time street hustler. And she's incarcerated right now. And my son was hustling. He started hustling. And I remember I moved him with me at the age of 17. He was 17 years old. I moved him with me. He was so deep in the streets. He wasn't in school no more. He just stopped going to school. And when I told him come live with me, I ran down my rules and regulations. Hey, brother, look here. Shit, 10 o'clock, you got to be coming through the door. 10, shit, we can go 9 if you want. All right, 10 o'clock. But see, when he was living with his mom and his grandmother now,
right.
and he was living with his grandmother now, man, he come in whenever he get ready. And I told him, I said, nah, bro, you can't do that here. It's rules and regulations here. I don't want you to bring no females to my house. Don't bring. I know you popular. I know you super handsome. I know you got all the girls. Don't bring them here, bro. Don't bring no girls here. Why I can't bring no girl here? Because she gonna come in. She might be looking around. She might tell some old dudes where you lay your head at. I said, bro, when we come here, this is for us. This is for me and you. This is for us to relax. Don't have nobody coming into my house, bro. So that worked for like a month. I come home one day. He got all his stuff. He gone. He got all his clothes. I'm looking for him. I'm calling his mama. Hey, where the Winford at? He ain't over there? No, he ain't here. His clothes gone. His grandmother and them came, picked him up. They conspired with him, got him back over there. He started doing what he wanted to do. I didn't hear from him for 6 months. 6 months. I changed my locks. When he left, he didn't tell me enough. I changed my locks, got new locks. I didn't hear from my son until 6 months later. He just called me out the blue on my cell phone. I was at the laundromat washing. What's up, daddy? What you doing? Nah, don't what's up, daddy. Listen, it's 6 months later. Man, don't what's up, daddy. Me, come to me correct. You got some explaining, and as a young man, don't ever do that. Don't ever come sideways like that, bro. If you didn't want to be over my house, you waited till I went to work and you got your stuff and you left. That ain't how men do stuff. If you didn't want to be there, pull me to the side. Hey, daddy, listen, I appreciate it, man, but I'm gonna go back over there. I could have respected that. I would have respected that more than you just trying to do something on the side. I said, nah, bro, that's not how you handle business. Don't do it like that. But we got over that. He still was in the street. I still have to get up and go to work and do what I need to do. I didn't know he was rapping. Come to find out, he one of the hottest rappers on the street in Dallas. Everybody telling me, man, your son rap, he do this and that. But a female that I used to talk to, she called me one day and said, hey, man, you know where Lil Winford be at? Last time you seen Lil Winford, I said, man, Lil Winford, I don't be seeing him. She said, man, I seen Lil Winford in the club. He had about $10,000 on him. He had money in both pockets. He put money. The crew that he run with, these dudes that he run with are older than him. And I'm telling you now that these dudes are killers. They robbers and they killers. What? Man, okay. I don't have his number no more. I don't have nothing. I wasn't even on Instagram. I wasn't even on social media. What made me get my own Instagram was I called Brother Ben X. That's another story on how I met Ben. But I met when I called Brother Ben X, I said, Ben, I said, man, I need you to do something for me, man. Try to find my son. Ben got all the connections. Brother Ben X, he know how to he can pull a rabbit out of a hat. I'm telling you. And a couple of days went by. He called me. He said, "Hey," he said, "Man, I know where your son at. I know, I can get you the information." I made my own Instagram. When I made my Instagram, my son had an Instagram, so he in the studio. He going live. They got 20,000 followers, 30, 40, 50,000 followers. I'm just like, man, they got the streets waving like that. I'm not knowing. So I'm trying to get in touch with my son, and I'm hearing Brother Ben sent me a video. My son was at a gas station, and you know how people be recording fightings and stuff, and he was out there fighting some dude. The dude wasn't even fighting him back. And my son whooping up on the dude and stuff, man. So I'm trying to contact my son. I'm trying to find him, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on and all this. So I'm showing my mom, I'm showing my dad, and all this. And so when I finally see my son on live, I jump on the live. He's in the studio rapping. So I'm telling him on the live, hey man, call me, you know, giving him my number, man, call me, come, we need to talk. So he see me on his live and he like, oh, my daddy on my live, I'm about to really go hard. He in the studio, he in the booth, he going in. And he never called. So probably like 2 weeks after that happened, I was driving at Pepsi. I'm driving trucks, 18-wheelers for Pepsi. And I get a call at 4 o'clock in the morning telling me I need to get to the hospital because my son has been shot and he may not make it. So when I get the call, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. It's like a calm just went over me. And I was like, damn. I called my dad. It was like 4:30 in the morning. I called my dad and I told my dad, I said, man, I'm about to go out here to the hospital. Man, they said that little Winford shot and they don't know if he's going to make it. And my dad said, well, man, I'm on my way. What hospital? I told him, he said, I'm finna meet you out there. I get to the hospital. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. It's about 50 people outside. The sun ain't even out. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's people all out in front of the hospital. And so when I get out the car, I see my dad pull up. And all the people, they pointing at me. They say, there goes his daddy right there. That go Winford right there. That go Winford right there. My dad's name is Winford. And we walking up. They like, oh, don't worry. We're going to get them niggas, man. That's on everything. We're going to get them niggas, man. Them niggas shot 10K, man. They shot 10K. So I go into the hospital. So I'm talking to the doctor. So the doctor asked me, where's the father at? So I step up. And the doctor pulled me to the side and said, well, he's in surgery right now. And they said that your son has been shot 8 times. And he's paralyzed from neck down. And they said that this is the worst I've ever seen. And as I received that, it just felt like I was about to faint. I just got lightheaded, man. You know, I just was like, you know, it just felt like I had to throw up. And I was just like, damn. And they said, well, he's in surgery. And they said, we'll let you know when you'll be able to, you know, come out and see him. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like damn, what did I go wrong? What didn't I do, man? And so now automatically I'm like, damn, like, man, you know, and I'm thinking about all this time I was in prison. And when my son got shot, he was 19 years old. He was 19. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn. So I'm talking to my dad. When I tell him, I said, man, he done been shot 8 times. And they said he's paralyzed from neck down. When I went in there and seen him, his face was swollen. I couldn't even tell it was him. And he was shot with an AK. So these are 223 bullets that he's been hit with 8 times. What paralyzed him from neck down was he was shot in the spine and it shattered his spine. And they caught him on the freeway and they tried to kill him. They ran him off the freeway, shot him, and one of his partners was with him. His partner didn't get shot. It's the grace of God. Praise be to Allah. He was in the passenger seat. He just got grazed. But my son was driving. He got hit 8 times. He crashed out, went into a ditch. And when I had a chance to talk to, when I went in the room and seen him, he had his eyes open. And I looked down at him. And as I'm looking at him, I'm just shaking my head, man. And And it just seemed like when I'm looking at my son, man, it was like I could see in his eyes, it's like he was 2 years old all over again. And I could tell he was scared. He was like, and he was blinking in tears and stuff. And I'm like, damn, I'm looking at him and I'm trying to hold up, and he's saying something to me, and I'm down here, I'm like, and his words, he looked at me and he said, I'm sorry, I should have listened. And when he said that, I didn't know what to say. I just looked at him and I said, just be quiet, man. I said, just let the people work on you. I said, just be quiet, just relax. And I called Brother Ben. I woke Brother Ben up, called him and told him, I said, man, they got him. And Brother Ben said, damn. And I think a couple of days after that, I stayed out there. I was going back. I told my job what happened. They told me take off as much time as you need. I was at the hospital every day. I took Ben out there, let Ben go see him when he could have visitors. Ben prayed over him because he knew Ben too. Actually, I brought him to the mosque, to our study group, and I got on the podium and we was saying, what has Islam done for you? I spoke and my son was right there. He seen me, Class A. He seen me speaking. I introduced him to my study group coordinator, Brother Malik Muhammad, my big brother, my mentor. I introduced him to Brother Ben. He was already a fan of Brother Ben. I've introduced him to the other brothers, and I told him, I said, some of these brothers are your age. And I'm telling my son, bro, they your age. These brothers, look how these brothers are dressed. And my son telling me, man, this ain't for me, man. This type of stuff right here, man, this ain't, I see you, but this ain't my life. I'm saying that to say this, beloved sisters. After that happened, that was in 2019, September 2019. He got shot 8 times. 2020, COVID hit. So they cut all visits off, so I couldn't see him because of his situation. He was living on a breathing machine. And so when COVID hit, I couldn't see him for like 18 months. Couldn't see him. He lost his voice. They telling me the doctor's calling me back and forth, telling me what's going on. He lost his voice. They had to cut a hole in his throat and put a trach in his throat. They had to put a hole, they put a trach in his throat, so they had to put a feeding tube in his stomach, and they had to feed him through a tube. And I was just like, man. And when I went and seen him again, he was so small. He was this big. He had lost all muscle and not being able to use your joints, because if you're paralyzed from neck down, all this is dead now. Your cells are dead. There's no feeling. His hands turned very, very black. There's no blood circulation. His feet turned very, very black. They had to cut off 3 of his toes. He didn't feel it. So now during this process, I'm having to endure this. I'm having to, when I start being able to go see him, I'm looking at all of this. And, he's telling me, he just like, man, I'm, many times he said, I just want to just die. Many times he said, man, I just go on, tell him to go on, and I used to tell him, no, I don't talk like that. I would have meetings with his grandmother, have meetings with his grandfather. I would talk to them and they would say this and that. I would go see him. And then I'm still having to work. He would get mad at me when I couldn't come. And I tell him, bro, I got to go to work. I can't come every day and I can't stay out here all day like your grandmother and your granddaddy. They don't work. Bro, my reality doesn't stop because this happened. And that was a hard conversation. That was a hard dialogue that I had to explain to my son. Laying up in his bed, I had to explain to him, bro, the world does not care about what happened. This happens all the time. You think my job care? They might give me a week or two off, but after that, hey, what you gonna do, bro? We got a company to run. What are you gonna do? And I had to explain all of this to him in this situation. So me and him we would bump heads. Oh man, I don't want you to come see me, man. Don't come back up here no more. I don't want nobody. I don't want no visits. Now the reality is setting in. He pushing everybody away. I don't wanna. And what can I do? You feel me? What can I do? I can't do nothing but sit here and look. So when people tell me, "Oh, I'm a street nigga," this and that, no, man, you can't win. The streets don't lose. I don't care how many people you didn't beat up. I don't care how handsome you are, how many girls you can get. You can't beat the streets. You can't win. You cannot win. Oh man, I play by the rules of the street. You still gonna lose. Oh man, this, that. No, I play by my own rules. Yeah, you still gonna lose. It's a no-win situation, right?
That's right.
So this is why I'm so adamant about people that I know, that I grew up with. Now that I'm in the Nation of Islam, I'm striving to tell them self-improvement protects you from self-destruction. You have to self-improve. There's no other way. You have to self-improve. If you do not self-improve, you're going to self-destruct. I'm 43 years old. I see this situation happening. I'm telling my partners, some of them doing the same damn thing that we was doing. We was 17, 18 years old. Man, where y'all finna go? Man, what club y'all finna go to? Come on, brother. Come on, sister. No.
Right.
This is not a video game. You can't put in the cheat code and get 100 lives. That's not how this works. This is not a PS5. This ain't no damn Nintendo Wii. This is real life that's going on. So I strive to tell them, come on out to self-improvement. Because now let me say this. I have so much room for correction in my life. I know this. This is why I said changing, because I still see things in my life that I'm not pleased with myself. So I'm telling brothers and sisters, listen, if I know that I'm in the class and I can see things that I'm striving to get rid of, man, I know you see something that you disapprove of, that you don't like about yourself. You have to come and start getting rid of it. This is the process of getting rid of these things. This is not a Muslim Christian thing. This is a self-improvement thing.
Come on, teach.
So when that happened, my son, he lost his voice. He ended up gaining his voice back. He started getting stronger. They started sitting him up. They had a little, they gave him little movies and all that. And I would go, they moved him from one hospital to the next, to this hospital. We got to send him over here to a surgery. We got to do this. We got to do that. Let me say this.
Come on.
I seen the wounds from the shot. The doctor showed me the pictures that they was taking of my son through all this that's going on. They showing me his wounds. He got shot in the buttocks. He got shot when we're in the back. I'm seeing this. Don't you know that these pictures that they showed me in his buttocks, he got shot, and it was a hole so deep I could see his bone in his buttocks. I could see the bone, and I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, oh, this is my baby. This is my son. This is a product of me. This is a younger version of me. How can I stay sane after seeing that? This is why I'm always saying, man, I don't care what nobody say. I know that the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that is the only way.
That's right.
I'm not trying to be biased. I'm not trying to say that, oh man, you just saying it because you in the nation. Well, damn it, I ain't always been in the nation.
That's right. Come on now.
I ain't always been here. I had a life before this, but Allah is showing me certain things, and I still, you know, so seeing these pictures, seeing all this, and I said, Allah, what is this? What are you showing me? What you know, what's going on here? You know, and my son, he gained his voice back. We started talking. They took him to a rehabilitation center, and you know, he was able to start eating table food. I would go visit him. He would call me. They set up his phone because he couldn't move. They set up his phone with the voice thing, and you know, we would talk for hours on the phone. We would talk for hours. Daddy, can you come up here and bring me something to eat tomorrow? I'll bring you some, son. I'll bring you some up there. Now, during this time, this was 2022. He had been shot 3 years. 2022. I went through some heavy trials. I became homeless. I was living in my car. I don't know if y'all remember BWO, Bridging Wealth Opportunities, Brother Ben X, Jake Taylor, 19 Keys, and Brother Chris, and all these. Well, I was the head of security of the BWO. I was Brother Ben X personal security. So we're traveling, we're going to different places in Puerto Rico's and New York's and LA's, and you know, everything in the company, it failed. Things happen. Money issues, situations at the top, certain things I was privy of, certain things I wasn't privy of. But as things fail that I won't get into, everybody's spending money. I wasn't being cautious with the money that I was getting in the way I was spending, because we was everywhere. And a part of me was thinking, shit, this gonna last forever. So man, we doing our thing. And it failed.
Right.
And I fell on hard times. I became homeless. Didn't have nowhere to stay. Still had my car. I was sleeping in my car. And then I went to a brother, and I told him, I said, man, look, this is the situation. And me and Brother Ben X, we wasn't seeing eye to eye on certain things. And we split. He went his way, I went my way. I didn't speak to him for 6 months, but prior to me becoming homeless, we had made our split already. At this time, I wasn't homeless. So we had different understandings of certain circumstances and situations. So we both agreed it's best that we both just, you go your way, I go mine. All praise is due to Allah. And
Alhamdulillah.
It got worse for me, and I had to go to a brother. And I remember telling my father, I remember telling my dad, I said, man, I'm living in my car. I said, man, I lost my place. And I remember my dad when I told him that, he said, "Where you live?" We said, "Where you staying at?" I said, "Man, I'm just in my car." And he said, "I could hear the pain. I could hear the pain in my father. I could hear the hurt in him." See, a mother would have said, "Oh, baby, come on over here. Come home. Come over here. It's room over here, baby. Just come home." Daddy didn't do that. When I told my daddy that I was home living in my car, this was his response. "You a man. You gonna handle it. You gonna handle it. You gonna handle it. You got it." I started crying on the phone with my father. I'm crying like a baby. My dad said, I could hear his voice cracking. It hurt him to hear me telling him that. Now, keep in mind, at this time, my son is still in the hospital. He's still in the hospital, a rehabilitation center. So I'm homeless, living in my car. I go to one of my brothers, not my blood brother, but one of my brothers that we was all running with, that was a part of the BWO. I go to Jake Taylor Jacobs. I go to Jake, and I tell Jake, I say, "Man, look," I say, "Man, this is my situation." I said, "Man, I don't have nowhere to stay. I'm living in my car." And he said, "Man, and see, the office that we had, it was set up like a studio. It had refrigerator, microwaves, flat screen TVs. I had my own office in the office. I had my own office in there anyway." So he was like, "Bro, you can stay here." We went and got an air mattress, and he said, "You can stay in this office." It was more than enough space. He was like, "Bro, you can stay in this office and get yourself together." And this is what he did. This is what he did. We had a whole staff that was working every day, coming to work. He told the staff, "Y'all work from home." And he said, I told him to work from home, so you can have all this. You can just have all the time you need to get yourself together, whatever you need to do. So I was like, how am I going to take a shower? I'm like, damn, how am I going to be able to shower? How am I going to shower? I'm thinking how I'm going to shower. So across the street from the office was a fitness gym, a 24-hour fitness gym. I went over there and got a membership so I could go there every day, work out. I love working out, so I work out anyway. So I went over there and got a membership. So now I didn't already solve my shower situation. Okay, after I work out, I can take a shower, come back to the office, right? So that's what I was doing, and I started doing security at this lounge. So I'm working these hours in security. Is not enough. The money is a little. It's a little money. But let me say this to people who are listening on this live. Let me tell y'all something, man. And I want to say this right now. Stop judging your certain condition. Oh, that ain't enough money. Let me tell you something. When you don't have nothing, something is better than nothing. Something is better than nothing.
Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah.
So you got to humble yourself. So when we talk about determined to change, that's the name of my book, Determined to Change. So when I was going through this, I started drinking, beloved
Alhamdulillah.
sisters. I started drinking. I started buying drink every day. I was drinking. I'm drinking. And I'm like, damn. I said, man, I went through a dark period. I didn't even tell my brotherhood. Ben didn't know. Me and him wasn't talking. I didn't even tell my minister. I didn't tell none of the brothers. You know why? Because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed that I had came and fell this low. And I was still going live from the office I was going live, and I was still doing lives, and I was still sharing the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. I wouldn't do it while I was drunk. But when I was sober up, I would go live because that was the only time that I would feel free. That was the only time that I would feel like I'm of some value when I would do that. You know, it became scary. I was fearful. I became very frightful because this had never happened. And then one day I'm working out. I get a call. You need to come to the hospital because your son is about to pass. And as I got in the car, I showered up, took a deep breath. I went to the hospital. And when I got there, his grandmother and his grandfather was there. And when I went and talked to the doctor, they said, who are you? And I said, well, I'm his father. And they said, well, we need to talk to you and the grandparents. And they said, well, he's on his last leg. This is the last phase. He's in a coma, and it's not going to be reversed. So, you know, I just was like, damn, this is the day. This day, it finally came. This is the day. I knew his organs were breaking down because of the severity of the shots. And he never came off a breathing machine. He was always paralyzed from neck down, and he never came off the breathing machine. So I knew. I said, this is the day, man. I said, damn. I said, golly, man. I said, damn. I never told him that I was homeless. I never told him. Oh, but before he went out in consciousness, when I was talking to him when I was homeless and I was still driving up there to see him, me and him, we would talk. And he told me I would teach him about the teachings. And he said, Daddy, guess what? I said, what? He said, shoot, I'm Muslim. Shoot. He said, I'm Muslim. He said, I'm with Farrakhan. He said, shoot, I've been watching the DVDs, and he would call me on his voice phone, and he would ask me questions. And the questions that he would ask me of the teachings, I knew he was for real because the way he asked them, I said, yeah, you've been studying.
Yes.
I said, you've been digging. I said, you've been digging, boy. He said, man, I'm telling you. He said, man, I'm telling you. He said, didn't I just tell you I'm Muslim? He said, I'm a Muslim, man. And I said, praise be to Allah. And he said, Dad, I need to tell you something. I said, yeah, man, talk to me. What's up? He said, man, you remember all them times you used to tell me, right? And I would always ignore you, ignore your calls, wave you off. I said, yeah. He said, man, I just want to say, man, that you was always right. And I knew you was right, man. I just want you to know that every time I thought about you every day, man, when I was in them traps hustling, when I was out doing this, I broke down and fell on my knees, sisters. And I cried. And I cried because there was a lie verifying to me that everything that I was doing, because I was saying to myself, am I doing something wrong by telling him the truth, by not sugarcoating anything? And Allah spoke through him and told me and verified to me and said, no, you did what was right. And my son came to the grips to understand that all the times you was telling me this, you was right, Daddy. I used to be in the trap hustling, and I used to be thinking about the things that you were saying, and I knew you was right about it. I just was in my pride and my ego. It talks about the pride and the ego in the study guide.
Look at that. Wow.
Yes, sir.
So to have that, I was thankful to Allah for that. And going back up to when I seen him, I asked everybody. I said, "Can I have, 15 minutes with my son just alone?" And everybody stepped out. He was in a coma. And I asked the doctor, I said, "Well, can he hear me?" And the doctor said, "Well, the last thing to go is their hearing." And as he was laying there, I was sitting there and I just was in his ear. I rubbed his head and I told him, I said, "Man," I said, "don't be afraid." I said, "Don't be afraid. I said, because you belong to Allah." I said, "Just let it go and allow Allah to receive you." I said, "Man, we're going to be all right." I said, "Man, I'm going to continue this fight for you and I both." And I said, "Man, I love you. I will always love you. I never told you nothing wrong, brother." I said, "I never told you nothing wrong. No matter how much it hurt me to say what I needed to say to you, I had to tell you." And I said, "Man, I will always love you. I will carry you in my heart. You're a part of me. I'm a part of you." And I said, "Allow Allah to have you. That He's the creator of it all." And I left. And when I left, I was on the freeway on my way home, and his grandmother called me and told me that he was gone. That was September the 13th, I believe. September the 13th is when that happened. He got shot 2019, September 30th, and he passed 2022, September 13th. His birthday was August 25th. He had turned 22 years old, August 25th, a little bit like 3 weeks prior. And man, he passed, and is that right there took me that took me from believing to knowing the reality of God. It's good to believe, but you don't just stay at the stage of belief. Something has to happen that God is going to put in your circumstance and in your life for you to have a surety of the reality of God. And me being homeless, drinking, I'm talking about profusely drinking, drunk. Oh man, damn, I'm swerving and everything. And the whole time I'm swerving and all this, Allah was still talking to me saying, "I got you. I got you. If I'm lying, God can strike me now. I don't have to sit here and lie to nobody. I know what the reality of God was saying to me." So everybody think that God is, "Oh man, if you don't do this, God is this. If you don't do," man, God is the all-knowing. He's the all-knowing. He knows certain things. God's mercy is not like our mercy.
Yes.
So when you going through certain things, the world may judge you.
You teaching.
The world may say, "Oh man, I know that nigga wasn't no Muslim. Look at him, he drunk." But the reality under that, Allah is saying, "I got you."
That's right.
Don't worry about them. I got you.
That's right. Allah.
It is going to be a time where I'm going to bring you back up. And when I bring you back up, you say all praise is due to Allah. And that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing.
Alhamdulillah, yes, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. A beautiful interview, and I'm trying to gather all of my thoughts, but I've been listening And all I've been hearing is Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, speaking through you and utilizing you as an instrument to show us, like you said, mercy. Mercy is not the Allah's mercy is not the same mercy that you and I have. That's exactly true. Like you said, number 19 just kept following you. You went to prison at 19. Your son gets shot at 19. And we are taught that that is the number of God, but that also is 1 and 9 is 10, and 10 is God. The black man and woman is God. So no matter what we're going through, we're still God. Even when you're taking that sip of alcohol, which is so interesting because earlier today, I believe it was like 4 in the morning, my husband and I were having a conversation, and out of nowhere, we were just talking about, you know what? There could be people drinking alcohol and preaching the word of God. And guess what? That message is still God's message. And it's so interesting that that's what you mentioned just now, that you were getting intoxicated and still able to allow people to hear God's message through you. So that lets us know that the nature of the black man and woman is to be a righteous Muslim. And we should never be judging one another. And I'm so glad that you went through that trial on your own, because sometimes we're so weak that, and I'm not saying this to anybody who has a habit of, putting everybody all in their personal business, but some matters that we go through are between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, us and Allah, who came to person of Master Fard Muhammad, because he wants to show us he is Malik Yawmuddin. How can he prove to us he is master of this day if we're not leaning on him in our most dire time of need, when we are down and out, when we are in what we think is the lowest of the low for us, but we never know when it might get lower. So like you said, brother, we got to be grateful. May Allah be pleased with Dr. Ava Muhammad, because she said that ingratitude.
That's right.
She said our ingratitude. And I believe one time she said it shows our level of intelligence by how grateful we are. And I would add to that our level of experience, because for me, you can have $1 million and you can have $10. The quality of that individual is not in the amount of money that they have amassed. It is about the quality and character of that person. So as you're speaking, you are proof that no matter where somebody's coming from in life, the projects, the hood, no matter where they've been, prison, hell and back, that does not define that individual. The language they choose to use, you could talk proper 24/7 and be a manipulative devil, a deceitful individual. And then you could be a person that's letting one fly every now and again, and your message could be more pure. So it's not even like the messenger said, don't listen to how I'm saying it, listen to what I'm saying. You got to hear God when you hear your brother or sister speaking. And we have to get in people just bearing witness to everything that you've been saying. And also, when you said your son passed, and may Allah be pleased, in 2022, that was 3 years later. So I do believe that trial, he was able to become that Muslim, to become a follower, to make peace with his Lord. And the fact that you stood on principle, because what happened to him was going to happen anyway, but the fact that you stood your ground and you showed him, like, I don't know if you're trying to be like me, but that version of me that you're trying to be like doesn't even exist anymore. This is who I am now. This is what you need to come be a part of. The fact that you made that transformation and you are able to speak that life into your son. And even though it didn't seem like he was listening, he heard you. And on his deathbed, he let you know. So when people, because this world is wicked. So when people are trying to make you feel some guilt, you got peace. Allah allowed you peace in knowing that your son told you face to face, Dad, I know you tried to guide me to the right way.
That's
Dad,
right.
I know, and your son
Right.
know where he from, where you from. So he saw you elevate. He saw you become a new man. And that's what these teachings are supposed to do. These are life-giving teachings. These are resurrective teachings. And we have before us a student minister, because that's exactly what Allah has grown you into. And anybody that's watching this program, this is what it's all about. How we're taught in the church that God can take a nobody and make him into a somebody in front of everybody, right? That's what
That's right.
happens when you
Yeah.
join teaching. People
That's
might
right.
look down on us, but by the time Allah's done with us, He is going to elevate us and put us in a position to where the other civilized people recognize that we are the civilized Black man and woman in America. We cannot ever think we're better than where our people are at. And that's why some of us come from certain backgrounds. I never had the experience of the project, so I'm not even the person that's going to act like I understand. But,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
I know that when I used to break away from the suburbs and get to
Right,
the
right,
projects, I never went to the
right,
projects. I didn't go that far. I did go to some hoods. They
right,
used to tease me. So I'm
right,
breaking my neck, getting in trouble with my parents to be around people that are laughing at me. But that's just how we are, and I'm not saying that y'all ever tease people, but I'm making this to say that even those people that might have caused me some hurt, they didn't know. It's just coming from two different backgrounds. I couldn't understand them and they couldn't understand me. They couldn't understand why I was coming over there. They were like, go home. Why are you coming over here? And I couldn't
right,
understand why they didn't want me over here. But you just said it. You said that sometimes we're so ungrateful with what we do have and don't realize that our parents are telling us something right. So we're breaking our necks to go the other way. And like you said, all of us watching this should be thankful to our mother and our father, because you opened up and said you've never disrespected your parents, no matter what. And somebody did put in there, did you ever get a bond with your mom because you were not raised with your mother?
Oh,
So
absolutely. Right now, we of course we dialogue, periodically. Of course, we don't have the relationship that me and my father has, but we're still close. And we the divinity of me. I always study my parents and see, as I've been journeying myself, I always look at the similarities that I have in common with my father and I have with my mother, and the divinity of me that has brought me to the Nation of Islam on the spiritual aspect of things comes from my mother, and I do know that. But just the raw ruggedness, of course, that comes from my father. So I always look at that, and I always thank Allah for my mother and for my father. And I remember, and I will say this real quickly, I remember when my father, he said that during the time of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said, man, I remember when I was 19 and 18 back in 1972, he said, we remember seeing the Muhammad speaks. We remember seeing that little man on the corner, I mean, the brothers on the corner, or we seen that little man in conventions and stuff like that. And he said, I remember seeing the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. My daddy is 69, finna be 70 years old. So he remembers a lot like it was yesterday. And he talks to me and he tell me, he said, man, I wanted to get into the Nation of Islam. He said, but when I got with your mother, this was before I was born. He said, but when I got with your mother, she didn't want that. She didn't want that nation stuff. She didn't want that. He said, even though I wanted it, she didn't want it. And and I respect my father because he said, I loved your mother so much, I chose her over that mission that I wanted for myself. He said, I loved your mother, man, and I didn't want to lose your mom. And I just stopped, I was still, listen and believed in it, but I wouldn't strive to establish a firm foundation. Look at this. Now here you go, a registered member of the Nation of Islam. And I said, praise be. I said, look at Allah. And so now my dad's 70 years old. He tells me, we talk all the time. He has a Quran. He has study guides. He has a message to the black man. He looks at YouTube or the minister. We sit up for hours and we talk on the teachings and certain things that he don't know. He asked me, man, what does this mean? When the minister say this, what does he mean when he say this? And I'm just thankful to Allah, and I'm humble to God that I'm able to respond to him correctly in a manner that's suited, that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will want us to respond, because I'm going to respond and let him know this is what the minister said. This is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us. This is what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught him to teach us. I'm always staying in that alignment, letting him know, yeah, man, this is what the minister said, and he always tell me, say, man, I'm so happy. And he tell me, like my son that passed away, tell me, my dad say, shoot, I bought him a FOI shirt. He said, I'm Muslim. he said, I'm a Muslim. I said, yes, sir. He said, shoot, I'm FOI. I said, that's right. And so just because my father, 70 years old, he don't have to go to self-improvement class. Allah knows his people. Allah knows and that's the thing, we can't judge. We can't get in between certain things. When God put things on certain people's hearts and their spirit, let them be, man. Let a person be. That's between them and Allah, because you don't know how heavy a weight that person has carried. And you don't know how they carrying it and what they carrying. So when he tell me I'm Muslim, I encourage him and say, praise be to Allah. He love when I say praise be to Allah, because I'm verifying, yes, sir, brother, you are. Ain't no question. Man, I believe that Allah came in the person of Master. He loved telling me that. I believe that Allah came in the person of Master Father Muhammad. I say, praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So I'm just thankful. I'm just thankful to Allah to have, because I still struggle. I'm going to be transparent and say it's things that I still get frustrated with. It's things that I still struggle with, that I fall short of. It's still things that I get anxiety with, because you want to see yourself do so well. You want to be able to go from one place to the next and excel in the right way to where it pleases God. And sometimes you find yourself in struggles. You find yourself in hard times to where you're struggling, man. I just went through that 2 years ago. I ain't where I want to be right now, but I'm back up on the climb. I'm back on the rise. And let me say this to the people that are engaging. If you're not around positive people, if you have to be, it's better to just be by yourself. If you can't be around positive people, if you're not hanging around positive people, just be by yourself. Man, look, I'm coming out of some situations, and I said I'm not going back to a place where I know it's a lot of negativity. Mm-hmm. So what did I do? I end up getting me a place where it's a lot better produce. It's very organized. It's peaceful. It's clean. It costs more. But shoot, whatever I got to do to scratch and stay and keep myself in a situation where I don't want to, I know that Allah say, go on out there. Go on and move here. I know you saying in yourself, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. Man, just take the step and move out there and watch what I do for you. Come on. And that's what I've been doing. Man, I ran into one of my good brothers, Brother Rashid Muhammad. He's in Mosque 48 down here in Dallas Mosque. I'm in a study group, Wasatch study group, but the brother stayed right 5 minutes, 10 minutes away from me. And we talk all the time. And this brother has been nothing but an angel to me. And we have built a solid relationship through Brother Ben X. A lot of great relationships have been built through the nucleus and the core of Brother Ben X. So I have to give that brother his flowers. I have to give that brother his cards, because I'm always knowing that for me to be his personal security, for me to have that privilege and that opportunity to call him and talk, or he called me and we talk, and we can see each other and we can sit back and we can dialogue. Man, that's an honor. That's a privilege when he can tell me, shoot, man, you think I be teaching? I listen to you sometimes. Shoot, you be teaching me a lot of things. And I just tell him, yo, man, praise be to Allah. We're here to sharpen one another. So I'm just honored, man, and I'm thankful to Allah. And I strive to let other brothers and sisters know that I grew up with. I'm not trying to down you because I got on a bow tie and I got on a suit. I'm never trying to do that. I was doing that in prison. I was showing brothers in prison, hey, bro, we cannot get out and fall back into the same thing, even though I did. But Allah said, I'm gonna let you fall there, but I'm gonna bring you up again. I got you. I'm gonna hold you. So that's what I try to strive to do for my brothers and my sisters, is to tell them, man, come on out to self-improvement, man. Oh man, what they gonna be talking about? Hell, you don't ask them questions when you go to the club. When you go up to the bar and say, hey man, let me get this. Oh, Lil Wayne gonna be at the concert. Oh man, Lil Baby and them gonna be there. Oh man, you going? You ain't never afraid then. We get afraid when we have to go to self-improvement, because we know that we are afraid to really mirror, because we already know what's good. We already know what we have to clean up, but we just afraid to do it. We just afraid to do it.
That's right. Wow, your story is so remarkable, my dear brother. And you know, there's words that come to mind when I think about everything that you just shared. And you know, first of all, I want to say, may Allah be pleased with your beloved son. Your story is a story of love, pain, sacrifice, perseverance, triumph, and testimony. And we thank you so much again for being your testimony with us, your ministry with us. Like Sister Dr. Eminence just said, you know, what you are showing is you are a student minister. And there's people who you are actually saving by giving your life story, your testimony. And it's a process, you know, and none of us are perfect. I heard you say earlier, you know, you're still Allah. Well, we all are. And one of the beautiful things about it is Allah chooses whom he pleases. You know, so even when you were in the mud and you were going through,
We can't hear Sister Eminence. It went off, yeah.
Yes, I couldn't hear you all. You all hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you all hear me now?
It's going in and out.
Jeez. I actually was saying, I wasn't saying anything to you all. I was saying something to my husband, but I don't know what happened. But did we, Sister Victoria?
We couldn't hear her, but I can hear you though.
Okay. Oh, you couldn't hear her. I thought you were saying you couldn't hear me.
No, we couldn't. Okay, no, I couldn't hear.
What final message?
Yes, ma'am.
What final message would you like to leave with the listeners? Also, how can the audience connect with you and follow your work? But what I wanted to say before that, because it's just stuck in my head, is that if a person is intoxicated and all they're thinking about is giving the message to the people, I mean, that just keeps staying in my head, because it's like, that means that at the even worst part that person thinks they are, that part of them is still striving to teach and reach the people. That I think that should not go over anybody's head, because who are we really? Like, because some people, they want a lot of money and wealth. If you got it, that's just like an intoxicant. Who would you be? What would your message be? How would you reach our people? How would you utilize your resources? So it's the same to me, because I don't get caught being a holistic doctor. I don't get caught up, because I see a lot of clients that come addicted to cocaine, addicted to marijuana, addicted to alcohol, or addicted to some prescription drug that their doctor gave them, which is no different. But we only tend to focus when somebody's like, I drink alcohol, or I smoked marijuana, or like the drugs that are mainstream. That's the ones that people like raise their eyebrow to or snoot their nose to, but not realizing that there's a lot of addictions out here, and food is one as well. So I just want everybody that was listening to the brother to understand he's telling his testimony, because this is his life story and he's overcame all that. But we all have to go inside ourselves and see what we're addicted to, or what it is that we've been addicted to. And are we that open and honest that we would even share? Because some people would rather just look perfect all the time, knowing good and well that they got some skeletons in the closet. We all do. So I thank you for being so strong, because that shows strength, to be vulnerable. And I know I could tell you keep mentioning the study guides and everything, because me and my husband, like, that's what we study, the study guides. And as you know, my husband is a student minister here in a study group. And in study groups, the key is actually studying with the believers. So we go over, a lot of material. And while you're speaking, you're covering all of that, knowing how to not be complaining, how not to condemn. No, we were just going over the 3 C's of proper handling of the people. And you're covering that, even with the way you dealt with your son, the way you deal with your father, the way you deal with your mom. That is what's going to convert people over, even if they're not in the mosque, because the point of a study group is not to get members. It is to teach and train people on what God came to give us. So I hear all of that while you're talking. You understand that dynamic. Sister Victoria, are you back? Let me bring you back on.
Yes,
I don't know if you were in the middle
I
of
am
saying
back.
something. Okay,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you all so much for your patience.
Yes,
I was
ma'am.
able to
So
go
I don't know
ahead
what
and
you
go.
were in the middle of saying, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish saying it.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. I went into my settings and I just silenced them, like what y'all was saying earlier. So I did it, and hopefully that works, because that's what the issue was there. So I was saying that our dear brother, we just thank you so very much for being on the show today. And I believe that your story, your testimony is definitely saving lives. I've been there, as far as seeing it myself. And now some of it I wanted to be a part of, like, and the brothers, because I used to hang with the brothers coming up. And they like, no, you can't go with us. You can't do this with us or whatever. But I've seen it, the violence. I've seen where people close to me getting shot and killed, watching them laying on the ground with bullet holes, one in his head and the other one, it ricocheted from his thigh and went through his body and killed him. And I know what it's like, you know what I mean, to just be in the hood and have to get down on the ground. You're hearing gunshots and drive-by shootings, and it's a lot of anxiety in the hood, and it's some things, like when you come in that environment, it's hard to get out of it. It's hard to get away from it, and some of it still be inside of you. Even though you go somewhere else, you still have to, need Allah to help us to even transition to the new way of life. You know what I mean? And none of us are perfect. So we appreciate you, dear brother. And Allah is certainly using you for us. And so with your son, I looked at how, your son he regained his way of being able to speak again. And I believe that was Allah allowing your son to speak so he can speak to you through him, to let you know that you are on the right course. and that you did everything right. You told him right. So he bear witness and even went so far as to say, I am Muslim. So that lets you know that, dear brother, your life, don't feel guilty. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you've went past that point. And once you got the confirmation from Allah through your son, because I see the power of Allah in your son, in you, and in the work that you're doing. So continue to do what you're doing, because I see in your story love, pain, sacrifice, perseverance, triumph, and testimony. And for that, we are so grateful, my dear brother, to have you on the show here.
Thank you.
Proverbs 31 woman.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're very welcome, and thank you more.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just had a question. Did you ever sit back? Because I know you elaborated how the bullet went through your tent, but went on the floor. And that like started your whole journey into the next chapter of your life, being 19 years old. But the fact that you were able to remember that the bullet went through, but came and fell on the floor.
Right.
As if some guiding angel or some like you were just being protected because you have something else that you are to do. And like going through, what was it? You said it was a drive-through. You were in a drive-through?
Yeah, it was
drive-through.
Yeah, it was like a drive-through, like a parking lot where everybody was hanging out at.
Yeah. So the fact that that happened in public, a miracle happens, there's always people that can bear witness that what you're saying is true. Like somebody tried to kill him. And the fact that you were able to get out of there, and then Allah put you away in a cell for whatever reason, that could have been a divine protection as well. Because if you had been out on the streets, they might have could have got to you. You could have been with your child's mother and your child, So it's just your whole story is just showing how Allah has always had his hand on you. And the father that raised you actually wanted to join the Nation of Islam, which is proof that he was instilling something in you, even if you didn't even know it. He knew it.
Right.
That's probably why he took you, because he like, I know I have this duty to give my son manhood. So it's just a beautiful testimony, and it really was too big for one show, to be honest, because there's just so much more to it, because we haven't even came up to present day what it is that you're doing. Your work, your book. We haven't talked about the book. It's just, this has been like the prelude to the story. Like you're giving us the overview, like, hey, this is what led up to the birth of Winford X, and already it's just everybody's glued to the Facebook because they're intrigued, and the story is so impactful because we have sons, some of us, I have a son, my son is 24 years old. So even listening to you, I'm like, wow, this is what Black men face, and of course, sons aren't going to tell their moms everything that they're going through and everything they witnessed, but to hear you talk about it and even express how, you're not sad, you're not complaining, you're not bitter, you just say it's life. And that it's like, wow, as a woman, I can't fathom going through any of that. So if you're willing to, we can do a part 2 where we can get into the book. We can get into, present day, what you're into, get into your youth outreach and your brotherhood, study group life, because I think that with the character you have and your ability to be realistic, our viewers are really enjoying that, especially other brothers who might not come from a certain background. They might come from the hood, and listening to you is giving them hope. Like, I could be myself. I could refine myself make better decisions, but I don't have to, act like I didn't come from where I come from. And I think that's what's so powerful about your delivery, because you're delivering the message, but you have accepted your own and you're being yourself. And I think that's imperative to the process of transformation and to changing. Because if God wanted us all to be the same, we would all have a cookie cutter upbringing. There would be no difference. But the fact that we have all these different factors and elements in our environment while we're going through our development, psychologically, it's not even possible for us all to be the same. So the fact you're holding true to your identity, some young people, they call it what, swag, flavor, whatever. And the Bible says, do not lose your salt.
Right.
That's the same. He said, you are the salt of the earth. But what good is salt if it loses its savor? So we have to be mindful to keep our own identity. And like the messenger taught us, accept our own and be ourselves. So those are my closing remarks. And if Sister Victoria wants something, and then we're going to let you say your closing remarks, and then you're going to close us out in prayer.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. And that was so beautiful, dear sister, Dr. Eminence, what you shared and everything that's been said. I agree 100%. And one of the things that come to mind in listening to your story, Brother Winford, is Romans 12, chapter 12, verse 2. It says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. And so you are definitely a walking, talking example of this very Bible verse here that Allah has given us. Again, thank you. And I would like to hear if there's any, if there's a special message or just something to take with us in the way of advice for somebody like that's young, that may be just getting out of prison or in the hood, that just needs some type of word of inspiration. What would that be that you would want to leave with us today?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. First and foremost, I would like to say thank both of you sisters for, having this opportunity to grace your podcast, your platform, continue to do Allah's work through you. Thank you for the brothers and sisters who are engaging at this particular time. But I would say my last words before we close out in prayer, inshallah, is to any brother or sister, no matter who you are, no matter what your religious preference may be, I think that self-improvement is the highest formula and function and medicine that we could take. It's too much getting caught up in what we've been taught, opposed to being able to be humble about the pride and about the ego, and actually looking in and doing a more thorough study on what self-improvement is, opposed to saying, oh, I'm a Christian, that's not for me, or looking at the self-improvement saying, oh, soon as you see the minister on the front, you throw it away, when the minister said that a good Christian is a good Muslim.
Yes.
At the time of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, he wasn't saying it just like the minister said, because it wasn't time for him to say that at that particular time, that a good Christian is a good Muslim. Even though in Message to the Black Man, he breaks things down to where, if you understand, he's still saying that a good Christian is a good Muslim. So the youth, people coming out of prison, what I strive to do for a long time, as I close, and I still battle. I'm not going to sit here. This is something else that's transparency. I still battle with anxiety, with understanding my purpose. I heard people all the time say, bro, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And when you fall short of certain things, it's just it's a nervousness. It's an anxiety. Like, man, I want to get out and do this. I want to get out and do that. And I want to take that step. And even doing this podcast, leading up to it, I was nervous. Anytime I go out in front of the people, I'm nervous because I just want to be able to be utilized in a way. Not like I said, I'm not putting up my privacy, but my why. They always, what is your why in life? What is your why? Why do I do this? Because of the previous experiences that Allah has allowed me to experience and see certain things. And so when I see the minister, I watch the minister at home. I watch the minister every day. I'm looking at him, the way he hold his mouth. I'm looking at the way he pauses when he's looking around, when he stops. I'm looking at all of that. I'm looking at certain things that he says. And I just think that the self-improvement is the most strongest formula that we could use. And I just want my wives to go out and strive to get the brothers and the sisters to see not only who the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is, but when we strive to study to see who he is, we'll see who we are.
Come on.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what I strive to get in. And I'm not saying that I'm, like the minister or, but one thing that I love that attracted me to this and hearing the minister is the minister has told some of his things that he went through before he became with the Bentleys and the things he was in the trash can. And for a woman in Mother Khadijah, blessings and blessings and blessings upon Mother Khadijah.
Yes.
For her to be a woman, to be so special, to see a man digging in the trash, didn't see him right then for what he was doing, exactly what he was doing, but she was able to see beyond that.
Come on.
Man, that right there, it gives me shivers and it gives me shakes. And I know that comes from self-improvement. Self-improvement is not saying that as soon as you get in self-improvement, all of the things that you're going through, it goes away. No, it's a process. But if we don't never study to see that, or if we don't never take that foot forward, that best foot forward, just to go into the class and sit down. If somebody invites you, stop. Oh man, I'm gonna, I get that all the time. Oh man, I'm gonna come. I DM people. Hey man, if I don't have to work, then I gotta work, or I'm gonna come. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. So I just let them say, hey man, look. The greatest thing that we could do is look in the mirror. And by that self-improvement, looking in that mirror, it can either be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy. And I will close with that, just self-improvement, because self-improvement, it protects you from self-destruction.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So whenever y'all ready to close.
All right. So yes, sir.
All right. Closing prayer.
You didn't give them information on how to find you, brother.
I'm sorry. You can go on Instagram. You can go to Knowledge 5845 on Instagram, or you can go to Facebook, which is Winford Perry II. Well, Winford Ray II. I tried to put Winford X, but for some reason, Facebook was giving me a hard time to do that. So I don't know why they wouldn't allow me to do it. But these are the main. I'm very rare on TikTok. I'm still trying to get the TikTok down. But Instagram and Facebook, I'm mainly on here on Facebook, which is Winford Ray II, and Instagram again, Knowledge 5845. So when you're ready, Sister Dr. Eminence, you ready for closing prayer?
Yes, sir. And then we're going to end the show, but if you could just hang back and not log off yet, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
All right. Prayer time. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, all praise due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the most merciful, master of the day of requital. Thee do we serve, and thee do we beseech for help. O Allah, guide us on the right path. the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, and not of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. Amen.
Amen. Allahu Akbar.
Okay, so thank you everyone for tuning in. This was our brother, I'm gonna say student in the ministry, got to be Brother Winford X. I'm not even gonna act like I know how to pronounce the city of the study group. Watch Hatchie, Wallahatchee. I don't know if I said it right, but
oh yeah, let me. Yeah, I'm sorry. I definitely forgot to give props to my Waxahachie study group, my study group coordinator, Brother Malik Muhammad, our study group coordinator, Brother Malik Jr. My whole study group. I'm in a study group of a group of brothers and sisters in this Waxahachie study group here in Dallas. It's been amazing. We call ourselves the 6 Mosque because the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said when he comes back, it's going to be so severe, only 5 mosques will be holding up. And we say we the 6 mosques. We feel like that our leadership is second to none. And the brother who we have in charge, who's leading us, and his wife, Sister Cherie Muhammad, and their whole family and our whole study group, it's like no other. When we're in study group, we're having the dialogues be so heavy and the teaching is so heavy, and then plus, we got a Brother Ben X, just like the Avengers say they got the hope. We got Brother Ben X. So you know how that rolls. Yeah, you know how that rolls. So but yeah, we're all humble and I love being a part of this study group. So I just wanted to pay my respect to my Waxahachie study group.
Beautiful.
Brother Winford X and Sister Cherie, y'all down there killing everything and raising the dead, right? So we're going to go ahead and end the show, but everybody, we're going to come back with a part 2 and pray that you all tune in because we're going to go into the brother's book and we're going to go into his current projects that he's working on. And for those of you who have stuck with us for this whole duration, we thank you for all your love and support. Yes. Thank you, Brother Winford X. I thank you, Sister Victoria, for being a great co-host, and all the listening audience. And thank you, Brother Kevin, for your support out of Springfield. Thank you to my husband, Mark Muhammad, for your support. Those are the sponsors for this show. So we usually do a little commercial, but we're just going it's running at the bottom, but next week we'll have the full commercial. They understand. We're trying to close out because we want to value your time. You guys have been with us for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Can y'all believe that? 2 hours and 40 minutes. So this has been a great show. I mean, this has been a great show. And I've learned so much about Brother Winford because I had no idea that the brother knew the teachings before Ben X. See how you don't even know somebody's story? I just assumed that Brother Ben X brought you into the nation. I didn't even know. So I know if I thought that, and I've been knowing you for years, I'm pretty sure other people thought the same thing. So without any further ado, we're going to just go ahead and end the live stream. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Just hang back, Brother Winford, if you can. And Sister Victoria, thank you again for all you do in promoting the show and being a great co-host. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Salam.
Wa alaikum salam.
I think there is